Peace, Soul Tribe. Yours truly, Ivory Soul's Journey. Grand Rising, great day. Osiyo, good morning. Hopefully everybody had a wonderful night's sleep. For those that are up early, I'm sure some is getting up, like myself. Some getting ready for work. And some are just up. So we're going to see who's all up. Not going to be long in this video because I don't want to just sound like I'm spinning, because you're going to find a lot of people spinning off of what took place yesterday. But I want to go a little further than that. Myself personally, I want to go a little further than that. So we'll give it a couple minutes just to see who's up. Righty, get this here camera right here. All right, looks like the camera is good. Looks like the camera is good. I want to start out by saying I am not a participant presently, really, in the American political system. For many reasons. But I just want to just say this about the Trump verdict and what does it mean for America. Now, let's go back. And me being who I am, one that has always, history has always been one of my favorite subjects, with the exception of my top three, was always math, science, and history. And I excelled in those areas when I was in school, even in college, because I've always been one that likes to know. Now, for the first time in history, as a quote unquote republic, I don't want to talk about a nation. I want to talk about a republic, but for the first time in American history, a former president, as y'all know, has been indicted and convicted of felony charges. First time in American history. Now, let's go back a little bit. All right. Back in 2017, I'll start there. And I'll try to find this video and I'll post it and share it with y'all, the link from my Facebook page, in which I did a video that was entitled America's Great Fall Like Rome. And then I specified 8, total of 9, but I specified 8. And the last one is going to be very, very dramatic. But what I'm simply saying is these 8 reasons why America will fall like Rome. And it's right in front of us. I want to talk about 2 of those things. In that video, I want to point out 2 of those reasons, those 8 reasons. One was the political civil war in 2017 that I shared with everybody that was already going on. And this goes all the way back to, I would probably say, probably further, but I would probably say 1992, when Nancy Pelosi got up on the floor of Congress and started talking about things about the future. And basically, it was also even about the pandemic or the lockdown that we just experienced in 2020. And you can go back and do your research, your history research, and you can find that information. That's one thing. But not only that, in 2017, when I started talking about the phase or the reason as far as the civil unrest, folks, let me tell you something. I said civil unrest because I didn't want to have people thinking that, we finna be in another civil war. But now, civil unrest. So you got a political civil war in America that has been going on since 1992, maybe a little bit further back, but definitely since 1992. Okay. And this is the reason why Bill Clinton won the presidency, because of some mishaps on George Bush the first, the dad's part, right? Okay, cool. Now, this political civil war is going to spark civil unrest. Rome fell from within. It wasn't invaded. Rome fell from within. And so will America. Rotten at the core. Now, that's one. Number two, of course, like I said, the civil unrest, number two. But the political civil war has been going on for a few decades now. Okay. What happened yesterday? Now, I want to take you back to the science and astrology aspects of it. Some of y'all don't believe in science. You don't believe that the planets above our head has anything to do with anything pertaining to us. But we're quick to say things like, as above, so below, because the energy above us is far greater than the energy down here where we are. All right. Now, I started sharing with people on this channel about a year or so ago things that I had already been seeing, right? And I had been following the transit of two planets in particular. One of the planets being Pluto, and one of the planets being Mars. And if I have to throw in a third planet, I would say Saturn, because Saturn rules this planet Earth. Now, from an astrological standpoint, we know that Saturn represents what? Karma. So, let's say 220 to 240 years ago. Now, we know that this here quote unquote republic, this corporation we call America, okay, it's about 230 something years when it comes to even just the political aspects, right? 230 something years. Okay. So what I did was, in my research, I took the time stamp of when Pluto entered into the 11th house. We call it Aquarius. Okay. And then take that back, because Pluto usually spends anywhere from 12 to 31 years in a house. So let's just take the average. And I said, okay, then. So we'll say some astrologers like to say 20 years Pluto spends in a house. So if you take 20 times 12, if you take 20 times 12, right, you'll see what I'm talking about, 240 years. So it's been 220 years. So this will be right after what they would call the readjustment period of America. All right? Y'all got me so far. Readjustment years of America. So now 220 some years ago to 240 years ago, it was a new country, a new republic, a new nation, if you will. But how did it get to that point? So when I go further back now, keep in mind how America got started. Just like Rome, invasions, occupancy, occupy, right? That's how America got its start, meaning that there was already civilized people, right? You call them Native Americans, indigenous people, Aborigines. So America came and colonized, occupied this land with an evil intent. And nobody likes to talk about the early Holocaust, in which millions of people on this land was persecuted and killed, raped, murdered, slaughtered, you name it. So if this is quote unquote God's way of saying, now America ain't Israel, and the people of Israel are not God's chosen people of today. The European people we call the Jews are not God's chosen people. Now, you can believe that they are, that's fine. It's up to you. We're talking about history here. So now you have a situation to whereas history is repeating itself, karma is being played out. Okay, let's say now, quote unquote, Trump is getting his karma. Well, you got to think about all of the evil presidents and leaders in this country before Trump. Why Trump? Go and research that, not only his name, but if you research it to the point to where you'll find out that there's number synchronicities, universal number synchronicities attached to Trump. Now on this channel, this very channel, a little bit over a year ago, I shared with y'all in a video what, it may not be the exact title, but I'll pull it up and I'll post it and put it at the top. What is going to be the effect of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue? You call it the White House. What's going to happen there? I also shared in that video that once Pluto moves back into the 11th house, you're going to see the rise and fall of world leaders. I specify some world leaders will die, some will be removed, some will die, some will be removed from office, and some will be assassinated. That's the Mars Pluto effect. Pluto represents endings, new beginnings, or endings and transformation. Okay, Mars is all about power struggles, war, violence, things of this nature. Saturn represents the aftermath or karma. So America now is, what does it mean for America, this Trump verdict? Okay, let's say now Trump has paid his karmic debt by being indicted on 34 counts. That is just the beginning. We're getting ready to see a change. Now that the planets, soon there's going to be about 6 planets in alignment. Okay? 6 planets in alignment. We call this a conjunction. So, we're about to see America take a nosedive in all aspects, just like, quote unquote, her ancestor mother, Rome. So, what you're about to see now is the aftermath. And now that Mars is in Aries, Aries is the first, it's the new beginning. And now you're going to see the nose of destiny change. You're going to see the nose of destiny change. And the North Node is all about the future. South Node is about the past. Right now, the North Node is in Aries. South Node is in Libra. Okay? We could easily, like I said about the world leaders, so we've seen one world leader, whatever you want to call it, whatever the reason is, he's no longer here. Whether the conspiracy says that he was assassinated by whatever the case is, the world leader of Iran's president, okay? Now you see one world leader. Trump is still considered a world leader. And they're trying to remove him from even being in the presidency, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Okay? So just like I said, some will be removed, some will die, some will be assassinated. World leaders. It's just going to happen. There's no other way. Not to mention the wars, not from a biblical standpoint, but just from an energy astrological standpoint. We're getting ready to see more chaos and more confusion and civil unrest. Now, I don't even want to talk about the economy. It's done. America's in bankrupt state. The dollar is getting ready to be snatched. Now, by me not taking sides, I just deal with the energy. You're getting ready to see 2 things. One, let's say Biden becomes president again in 2024. America's never going to be the same. Let's say Trump becomes president in 2024. America's still never going to be the same. Why? Because Saturn energy says that you got to obey the universal laws, in which America has violated shit, probably all of them. Every last one of them. So, from a universal standpoint, America is the next quote unquote great major nation, some like to say even empire, that's going to fall. No empire stays on top all the way back from the early dynastic periods of Kemet or Egypt. Beyond that, the Sumerians, so on and so forth. No world power stays there on top. Because from a universal law standpoint, how did you get there? And as I just spelled out, America got to the top by way of a Holocaust, murder, destruction, invasion, things of that nature. Nobody want to talk about this aspect, but it's the truth. If you go back and look at the history of this country. So what does it mean again for America? It's just another layer, another level of the beginning of a fallen nation like Rome. And it ain't going to get no better. You have tens of thousands of quote unquote America's enemies from around the world that has been released in this country. So, let me give y'all a couple of scenarios here. Biden has violated so much in terms of people coming across the border from all over the world. And thousands of these people, tens of thousands, are enemies. So let's say if Trump wins the presidency and he wants to deport, he wants revenge. That's Mars energy. He wants revenge. The Pluto aspect is ending and transformation. I call it the restart or the reset. So for the next 20 years in this country, it is not going to be the same country by the time Pluto makes it into Pisces, which is no further. We can go 12 houses. Okay. You're going to see if Trump wins, you're going to see and try to deport all these people. You are going to see it's going to make Black Lives Matter look like a little fight between two kids in the park over a swing. And they're going to be sick compared to when you talking about it. They got all these here terrorists and evil people, people from other countries releasing their prisoners from jail and so on and so forth and sending them to America. You're going to see a clash. You're going to see uprisings. You're going to see violence like we've never seen before. Again, America, like Rome, falling from within. Be it social, religious, economic, political. I can go on and on about how Rome fell. So America is in the stages, not the early stages. That was back in 92. America's in the stages and in the phases of falling, one layer at a time. So you're going to have this here. They've been warning us about, quote unquote, not trying to get all deep on some of y'all, quote unquote, this alien invasion. Now, whether it's illegal aliens or aliens from above, whatever they talking about, there's definitely going to be some chaos. And the invasion, if Biden wins, you can kiss, quote unquote, democracy goodbye. If Trump wins, you can kiss democracy goodbye. Because whatever God you believe in, if that God is a righteous God, that God, if you will, is going to say, hey, look, Ivory, you got your power, you got your control by way of hurting other people, destroying other people. So now, Ivory, this is a God speaking. So now, Ivory, it's time to pay the piper. So now, America, it's time to pay the piper. Say whatever you will, vote for whoever you want to vote for, do whatever you want to do. I'm talking about America. And what does this here verdict mean? We're getting ready to head down a slippery slope. There could be a lot of people die as a direct result of this verdict. Take it however you want to take it. A lot of lives in the future is going to be lost as a direct result of this verdict. So, with this Pluto representing the eighth house, which is the most karmic house in the astrological chart, because it symbolizes death and endings, the dark side, the underworld, what's hidden being brought back to the surface. So history is repeating itself and it's being forced by Pluto. Now, the transformative aspect is this nation is getting ready to transform. And I really don't believe that the Constitution that we know now and the political structure that we know now, 20 years from now, won't be the same. We could be looking at a whole transitional period. We could be seeing the whole world plummeted into war, of course. That's Mars. So between now and next year, these are going to be, quote unquote, what I like to say, the darkest day. We are in the year of the dragon, 2024. And there's going to be a lot of, quote unquote, fire destruction. What you saw with Black Lives Matter during the first and second presidential terms leading up to the date of voting with Black Lives Matter, all the chaos and the confusion. Now you're going to see that between these two parties. It's almost like the North against the South. You can't, it's like good cop, bad cop. Whichever side you take is not going to be good. Now, I know some people say it depends on if you're privileged or if your ancestors are in power in Washington. They're the leaders of this country. Yeah, you're going to side one way or another. But for those of us who are like myself, who are neutral, I just want the universe. I just want things to be set back into place and into order. And there will be a restart and a reset in this country. This country is getting ready to go through a whole transformation. In the future, we'll look back and we'll say, this is the period of transformation. And because this is the period of transformation in this country, a lot of things is getting ready to change, folks. A lot of things is getting ready to change. When, not if, but when they snatch that dollar off the market and give you another form of currency. So many people, that don't matter what your color is, don't matter what your ethnicity is. So many people are about to struggle, change. And all I can say is, folks, is this here. Get ready, get ready, get ready. Get your popcorn, get your peanuts. Get that mind right, get that heart right. because it's getting ready to be a huge mess in this country. And ain't nobody can stop it because now you got Saturn, Pluto, and Mars in control. Not man. What happens up there? See, what's going on down here is taking place in the spiritual realm. Y'all call them principalities in high places. Those that are responsible for you and I being here. However you want to look at it, whatever you believe. Those same beings or deities are the ones that's going to have the final say, as above and so below. This is about to change dramatically. America is about to change dramatically. Trump is just one phase. Again, he is paying out his karmic debt. But that does not mean that he's gone. We already know what is required. What, age 35, 14 years on this land, born here, what have you, to be president. They can't stop him from running for president. They just want his opponents, they just want it to be a label, a hashtag, convicted felon. And so the game is, y'all think they want people to think. So when you go to the voting booth, are you going to vote for a convicted felon who has paid their karmic debt? Or are you going to vote for a crooked ass acting president now who has allowed millions of people, about 10 million, to come across the border? You not, and counting. And if he wins, that border is going to open wide up. But then you're going to have this civil war in Washington. You're going to have this civil war in Washington. And it's going to spew out into the cities and states nationwide. A huge mess is about to take place. That Trump verdict, May 30th, Mars in Aries. Pluto is barely at the edge in retrograde, going back into Capricorn, the 10th house. And when Pluto entered into the 10th house in 2008, we already know what happened. All kind of chaos with the economic disaster. Well, it's going to dip back into the 10th house until November, after the election. And when Pluto enters back into the 11th house, that's where you got all these crises, humanitarian crises, and so on and so forth. Pay attention to Mars. But the overall energy is Saturn in that 10th house, Capricorn, right? Taurus, well, Capricorn, which is this energy like governments, because Saturn rules governments and institutions, laws, authority. So there's going to be this power struggle between now and November with Pluto being in the 10th house. Follow Mars transit. You ain't even got to follow Saturn. Saturn rules the whole planet. So there's going to be a lot of karmic energy in this country and around the world. Getting everything set up for a transformation, revolutions, people fighting against their governments. It's getting ready to be a mess. Appreciate everybody for stopping by this morning. And I didn't want to come and just talk about what everybody else is talking about. I wanted to give y'all a little bit, and I'll come back again, but I wanted to give people a little bit more in-depth insight on what's really going on, quote unquote, universally, spiritually, and what it's going to and how it's going to affect the 3D down here on Earth. There's a lot of destruction coming, a lot of wars, a lot of starvations, a lot of governments failing, a lot of transformation, a lot of endings, physically, mentally, and spiritual endings in the 3D realm. And ain't nothing you can do about it, nothing I can do about it, and there's nothing that Washington can do about it. And I'm going to say this here in my closing. America is on its way down at breakneck speed, just like Rome. Appreciate everybody who sent some love and light and positive energy. I mean, even with the weather, everything is getting ready to change, folks. This is the first time in my human experience, this lifetime, that I've had to prepare myself for three tornadoes, back to back to back, where I have to go into my safe place, if you will. And it's just going to intensify. So normally on the weekends, I do other things from a business standpoint with my catering. But this weekend, I think I'm going to take this weekend off and do some more meditating and get more insight on things to come. And then as I receive these here messages, if you will, down low, I'll just share them. But I will share that video from my Facebook page. 8 reasons why Rome, 8 reasons why America will fall like her mother Rome. And we seeing it take place right before our eyes. You cannot go out and murder, kill, rape, destroy people in the name of a God and then set up camp, occupy, colonialism, set up camp and think that that nation or that system will remain intact forever. Some people don't even think America can fall. America ain't great as Rome. America's not great as Kemet or Egypt as far as historically. No, it's not. America is not even really greater than her grandmother, Europe, Britain. This is a colony. This is occupation. You can't, it's just like I can't go into somebody's home and they still living and take over their home, kill them, but not all of their descendants, the children, and then expect to stay in that home forever. And those descendants are still living. Eventually, they're going to rise up. And that's what's getting ready to happen. That's what's getting ready to happen. Not to mention, think about this now. If you look at all the cases facing this man we call Trump, they have people of color that looks like me and you, that are behind this, that are in the forefront, right? And you cannot, me, we cannot win fighting on the side of the enemy. It doesn't matter which side, Democrat or Republican. But if I know that the KKK was founded and organized by the Democratic Party, if I know that the Democratic Party, I call them Democrats, if I know that the Democratic Party in 1868, 1870 voted unanimously on the Senate and Congress floor for you and I not to have a right to vote, 100% of them. 100% of them says, no, don't get rid of the slave patrol you call modern day policing. So our people, the majority of our people that looks like me and you, are on the side of the Democrats. And these Democrats ain't doing shit for our people. The Republican, they ambushed our ancestors' party because there was a time that all of our ancestors were Republican. Go back and do your history and your research. So it's like good cop, bad cop. It doesn't matter. I don't see the modern day Jews as God's chosen people, but President Trump does. And people who are in Christianity religion, they do. I don't. The world don't. The universe don't. So either way it go, either way you slice it, either way you dice it, you can't be on the side of the same people, whether they look like me or they don't look like me. You can't be on that side. You can't win with politics. Poly meaning many, ticks meaning blood sucking. That's all politicians are. They're blood suckers. And it's many of them. So now we'll wait and see what the outcome of this is going to be. Because let me tell you something. It's getting ready to get ugly. I got to make a long drive this morning, and then I'll be back and do those other videos. And I will say this much. I may not be doing all 12 signs no more. I will do elements and qualities. But as far as just all 12 signs, I probably won't be doing them anymore in the near future. Because even myself, I have to get out a message that just does not pertain to tarot. That's a small portion of what I know and what's being shared with me. This is why I receive attacks, from people that look like me and people that don't look like me. This is why the algorithms are usually shut down, because the powers that be that owns these platforms, they see and hear and they know everything. So they know which ones to attack, they know which ones to shut down, and they know which ones to close the algorithm. So that's why when I tell people to like and subscribe to help the algorithms, it helps a little bit. But when you are under attack from dark forces, from the energy forces of these platform owners who runs these platforms, it's like you just keep fighting. The truth is never, ever going to be popular as we move forward in human history. The truth is the last thing people want to hear. They love a lie, and I'm not going to be the one to tell it. Y'all be blessed. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll see y'all later on this afternoon. Peace.